excited because my Anna Griffin Cricut cartridge has arrived. My lovely friend Hazel, who does get all my Cricut cartridges for me, and I'll put her link down below this video, and she managed to get hold of it really quickly, and she's got loads in stock, so if you're in the UK then she's got loads of them in stock and she can get them out to you. So as I say, I'll put the link there. And just to add that I'm not affiliated in any way, this is just you know, a friendship that we've built up through me being a very good customer, I think. Anyway, so I'm super excited because it's arrived, and literally, as you can see, I haven't even opened it. It comes with the universal overlay. I'm assuming it's because it's one of the first ones to come out in the new format, so you get the universal overlay with it. Thereafter, I presume you'd be able to buy the overlay separately and then get your cartridges in this new packaging. And as you can see, it's wee compared to the old packaging, much more sensible, much more better on the environment, and just generally I should imagine it's costing Cricut a lot less. So what I am wondering is where the booklet is, because I'm assuming the booklet is no longer this size. If it is, it's being squished in there. So let's open it up and see what it says. There we go. Right. So there's the cartridge in Anna green and gold. So that's really cool. And here is our little booklet. So that's the new style booklet. We'll have a look at that properly in a minute. Then we've got, what's this? Thousands of images to use. Oh, I see. Oh, it's about Cricut Craft warranty, so that's all boring, that can be chucked. The cartridge itself, I will link through my Cricut Mini to the Cricut Craft room. That's the box. And then we'll look at the booklet in a minute, and then it comes with the overlay, which I won't, oh what the heck, let's open it. It says Universal Keypad Overlay for use with the new cartridges, simple format for image and font, works with original Cricut, Cricut Create and Cricut Expression machines. With the Cricut Mini you don't have an overlay, so it's not necessary, but when I get my pink machine back down, then obviously I will be wanting to use that. When I sort that out, I will go through in a bit more detail how it's used. So let's just have a little look at it. So basically, instead of your images, you're going to have each key is numbered, and the shift button is got a letter, or as it gets further down, a symbol. Your function keys are F1, function 1, function 2, etc. Then you've got your material saver, real dial size, shift lock. So those are all the same. The difference is that they are highlighting these a bit better, which is good. You've got spaces, clear display, repeat last, sound on and off, load last, set cut area. So all of these are kind of the same, other than the fact that this obviously would normally say, I don't know, headgear or body or clothes or I don't know, whatever, to tell you what the function was. But the main difference is obviously that we've got letters and numbers to identify each key. Then when we look at the booklet, we will no doubt see that number 34 is a specific image. So you look up which image, you look at the book, see the number of the image that you want to use, and you just press that key. Okay, so now let's get on to the important bit, and that's looking through the manual and seeing exactly how this works. So it's a really cute little manual. And the first few pages are the completed images. So image 1, which corresponds with the keypad. So you know image 1 is going to end up looking like this. Now there may be shift keys or function keys that will be relevant to that, but we'll see that a bit later. If you've seen some of, I think like Creator Critter 2, they started putting like a page or 2 pages with all the completed images, so, and then the page number on it. So this is a similar kind of thing where they've put the completed images on. So we've got baubles, more, and they're really quite detailed, so I don't know how that's going to translate when we look at the actual page that's relevant to that particular image. Then we've got bells and the Christmas wreath. Sorry about the light, it's shining like crazy. And we've got these gorgeous, just sort of Christmassy holly. I mean, they've done it in gold, but if you did that in greens and things, it would look nice. I think some of that's possibly mistletoe. And just poinsettia, more poinsettia, holly. That is more holly, but with white berries. Lovely snowflakes, something gorgeously detailed. Now, when I haven't particularly looked at the book, but when I started to open it, the pages stuck together, and that's quite common, I find. And the way I used to stop it was because at the beginning of the bigger books, there was, when they were on these rings, there was lots of pages that were in the foreign language, so I could rip those out, and that would give it more space to turn, because I think that Cricut have done these just a little bit small, and if you see, they really are touching, and that makes it very difficult when you go around the corner. It needed to really, in my opinion, bigger ring bind very slightly. So obviously with this one I couldn't do that. There's no foreign, there's no pages that are extra. So as it stuck, all I did was I took a little pokey tool, and before I did it, I just literally just went under each section here, not in those holes, in there, and just loosened it up, because otherwise, as you can see here, there's a little rips. As I went further along, I popped these behind out the way, and I was able to then turn these a bit easier, so you were able to get it going. And it really is because it's just so tight. It's the beginning gone again. There we go. And it is a bit of a pain, but I mean, it literally took 5 minutes, so it's not a big deal, but it would be a lot nicer if they just did this a little bit bigger, in my opinion. Anyway, here's presents and little jingle bells. That'd be fun if you put real bells on. There's some sentiments and more sentiments, and that's the last. This is like Create a Critter 2. These are the page numbers. So if you like this image, this one here, say we'll go to page 17, and there it is. Okay, so it has these numbers here, have absolutely nothing to do with your overlay. So now we're at page 1, which is our first image here. So image page on page 1 is that one, and this is where we understand our layering and our numbering. So the number of the keypad here, this is keypad button number 1. So to create this image, this is what we need to do. So we've got the base image, so this will be just by pressing number 1 on its own, as it says there. Then to create the next layer, we want function key and button number 1. And then, as it says it here underneath. And then, I'm just, the light's catching for you. Then we've got the next layer, it's S for shift, so you press your shift and plus number 1. So again, this button here. And then the last layer, this one here, and I don't think these are particularly in order of assembly. It is shift, function 1, key 1. So sorry, I didn't realise it was shift, function 1, key 1. So it absolutely tells you exactly what buttons to press. So it's these, it shows you here in the little diagram. Okay. So it sets it all out nice and clearly down here. So you see on your little keypad diagram, so this corresponds with your actual keypad, which you won't be able to see because I've zoomed right in. And it's showing you that the green here is your button key for that image, and that button key there, green, is this one here, so it's telling you that's position number 1. It's also saying you're going to need the shift button, which is your red there, and the blue button, which is going to represent your function key. So in this case, it's saying you're going to need the shift, the function key number 1, and button number 1, in however combination that arises. Then under each image, you've got what you need to do. So it's got here button 1, So that's all you press and you will cut out that image there. Simple. Then over here, and if you remember the blue, and this writing here, F1 is in blue, so it's reminding you that the blue is where it shows you blue is on here, so you can quite easily correspond what it means. So that you press that blue key, function 1, plus button number 1, which is in the green, and then it will cut out this layer. Then to cut out this layer, you've got the S in red, which is represented here, so it's showing you where that is with the little red key there. So it's indicating very clearly exactly where on the keypad you're looking, to just give you a nice helping hand. And then plus the number 1 button, which is shown in green, which matches the little green button on the keypad there, plus it identifies that's the green button, and the green button is the number 1 green button, because all of these in there would be green, and it's just the number 1 button. Okay, and then lastly, you've got a combination of all of them. You've got the shift key in red, again, as we just saw, the function key in the blue, plus the number 1 key, and that will cut you out that shape. Okay, so it's really clearly set out, and what I will do is I will take this, once I've got my pink machine back up and running, because there's some of you that watch me regularly will know I had at one point intending on selling it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I love it too much. So I'm going to be bringing that and unpacking it again once I get organised with where I want to put it, and we will run through physically on the machine. I'll put the overlay on and we'll run through using this cartridge exactly what we cut, and then we'll assemble it, so it'll be nice and clear hopefully at that point, but hopefully it's a little bit clearer anyway. Okay, let's look. We did look at these images, but let's now look a little bit more closely. So again, let me just take you through this one again, and then we'll just look at the images themselves after that. So again, it's showing you that the green button, which is shown on the little keypad here, is number 2. So it's identifying that it's the number 2 button. Okay, and then when we get over to here, it's saying to cut this layer, press just the 2, and that number 2 is in green. Then the next layer, it's saying to cut this layer, you need to press the F1, which is written in blue, and therefore you can correspond blue with blue, so you know that that will be in that location, and plus the number 2, which is written in green. Excuse me. And then for this layer, you've got the red S, which represents the shift key, and again red and red. So there's the little red button there to show you whereabouts on the keypad it is, and plus the number 2 key, which is in green writing on here. Obviously it's not on your keypad, and it might have been quite helpful to colour code them, but probably quite expensive. And then for the last layer, which is this one here, it would be the red button plus the blue button plus the green button on, as demonstrated on here, but it would actually show on our keypad as the shift key, the function 1, and the number 2 button. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through and show these images rather than go through each layer every time. Okay, so we'll just have a reasonably quick flick through so you can just get a feel for how gorgeous these images are, and they are very detailed. I think they haven't done on this one is give like a suggested minimum. On previous cartridges with intricate cuts like this, they've given a suggested minimum cut size, you know, like 3 inches or 4 inches or whatever. They haven't done that on here. So I guess it's trial and error. I would be confident on the Mini, which seems to be an excellent cutter, that it would cut most of these intricate images absolutely fine, because it moves around differently. The blade, I think, is a slightly different configuration. It seems to be anyway. So I think that would be fine. And even on your older machines, I think you'd be fine. You may have to adjust the speed. I tend to find actually that the faster you go, the easier it is, even on the intricate cuts. I know they tell you to slow down, sorry about that. But I sometimes find it's almost like if you're faster, it just doesn't get, you know, if you're going slow, it's like this and it can catch on something. If you're going fast, it goes shoop and it's past it before it gets a chance to catch. But I think with the Mini, what it does do is, like on this intricate cut, it sets the speed through the Cricut craft room. So it will go slower on the parts that it thinks it needs to and faster on the parts that it knows it can dash past easily with no concern, because it's mainly a straight line or whatever. And these are absolutely gorgeous. Let's just quickly take a look at the layers on that one. And if you look again here now on this little keypad, you can see how they've changed the where the green square is. It's further in because obviously we're on button 24 now. As far as I can see at the moment, that all we've used on here is function 1 key. But if you were doing something like the equivalent of paper dolls in this new system, then I imagine that you would use quite a few more function keys. I personally think it makes so much more sense to have a universal keypad, and it means you can leave that on your machine. You don't have to keep taking it on and off. You don't have to worry. The books are smaller, so they're easier to store. I mean, I just think it's a win-win really. And this gorgeous tree. Wow. I mean, this would make some fabulous designs. You could use this as a template and use your Copic and airbrushing system and make some amazing patterns with that. That's absolutely nothing to do, whoops, we missed one, nothing to do with Christmas at all, but would look fabulous. That's gorgeous presents. Don't you find presents that, I always find they're quite hard to find, nice little stack of presents like this one on the Cricut. I found a few, but I like that, kind of like that, the different heights and the bows and everything. And again, look here, there's your different layers. And I like the fact that you've got the, almost like a shadowy layer on the bow here, which is quite cool. Now we're on the sentiments, and if you look here, firstly these two sections aren't relevant, but you could easily just do that one on its own, not so much that one, so you don't have to put the shadow in. In a way, I almost think the shadow on these colouring makes it look a bit weird. I mean, that works better because the colouring's better. I have to say, it's not striking me as like, oh my goodness, this is Anna Griffin. If I saw this, I wouldn't think Anna Griffin particularly, whereas with a lot of her papers and things, obviously it's like, oh, that's Anna Griffin. This isn't striking me hugely as like bang through the eyes, as it were, as her style. I mean, it is her style, but it's also a very traditional Christmas, so it's not especially hers, I don't think. That said, I think it's absolutely stunning. If you look on the front here, you've got, well, she's done it as a little picture, but you can see that would make some nice little cards. So that's a quick look, well, probably not so quick now, a quick look at the overlay and the Cricut cartridge by Anna Griffin, the Winter Wonderland. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this with me, and I hope that maybe I've just cleared up a little bit of the mystery of this new overlay. I'm sure that you guys probably know it anyway, but just for those that are new to Cricut or whatever, I thought it would be useful to just try and explain it a bit. And as I said, once I get my machine back up and running, well, it's not broken, but once I get it back up, set up, I will run through this actually physically, and we'll make a card using one of the images in here, and we'll go through exactly what we cut, what we press, etc, etc. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this. I'd love to hear your comments about this cartridge. If any of you have got it already, what do you think of it, how you're finding the universal overlay, etc, etc. So let me know, and the rest of you just comment anyway. I love to hear from you. All right, thanks for watching. Bye for now.